dear, what is the... By God. What has happened? Why are you covered in blood? What do you mean it's not yours? Well, then whose is it? Last I checked, you weren't a creature of the night just yet, so surely you were not feeding on some poor soul in my castle. Lord Veclor? Oh, that worm. He must have figured out you were residing here with me and decided to have himself a feast, did he? He's one of the highest ranking lords and is also the most vehemently against my rule, period. I thought I'd managed to shield your presence and scent here enough so that no one could detect you, but apparently I slipped up somewhere. Damn it. Come here, my dear. Let me inspect the wound on your neck. He broke your flesh, but the bite isn't deep, and you were smart to apply pressure with your nightgown as I instructed in case something like this happened. But I have to ask, how on earth did you fight off a vampire lord of such power? Even at the peak of my own power, Lord Veclor has centuries on even my existence. So it would be no simple task to destroy... You fashioned a stake? Out of what? I don't remember providing... Out of your desk chair in your room. The one in the far corner. My dear, that was aged mahogany I had sent in from overseas. Did you really need to destroy my furniture for your crude weaponry? Surely you could have... Right. Apologies. Back to the problems at hand. The Lord is dead, then. Truly dead. I can't say I'm heartbroken, but the courts will wonder what happened. Thankfully, nothing but a blood pile to count as evidence against you, so most will simply accept it as assassination of the simplest terms by any number of his enemies, and new leadership will take its place in due time. Such is the way of things, but don't worry, my dear. I will make sure that none of this traces back to you, specifically. But I do also have to ask, what was your plan for this stake of yours? Clearly, neither of us had any idea the Lord would attack you so blatantly in the middle of the night, and you couldn't have prepared for it by any means, so... I see. You plan to end me during my weakest point after the sunrise and make your escape. Well, as much as it breaks my cold heart to hear that my hospitality is falling on deaf ears, I respect your cunning for dreaming up the plan in the first place. You may get another chance to send me to my true death, but for now, come, let us clean this mess from your person. Here we are, my dear. I will close the glass wall once you are inside, and where I would normally like to leave you to recover and to have your privacy, I do not wish to risk more of Veclor's assassins or fellows of his court to come finish what he started. I will remain outside the door to dissuade any other possible visitors. What do I plan to do with you now? My dear, you were just violently attacked, harmed, and committed your first act of murder in your young life. Right now, my plan is to simply make sure you are as safe as I can make you. But if you are referring to the ritual and to our ascension, this does force the schedule forward by quite some time. If Lord Veclor was aware of you even thinking you nothing more than a hidden snack for my own amusement, then it is entirely possible that any number of my fellow court members could also be figuring out the same truth. I thought we'd have more time, I really did, but perhaps these plans of rebellion against me were already in motion, and I simply strapped you down beneath the pendulum's blade along with me. No, I suppose I didn't answer the question directly, did I? For now, my dear, I want to make sure you are as safe as possible. The ritual and ascension can be damned, for now. But if need be, I can wait a little while longer. The entire plan falls apart if one of us is not fit for the magical process, and truthfully, I worry about your well-being. I have since this entire fiasco began. Humans are not built to interact with the night in the way that we see it. Even asleep, I can sense the company of a living being who is not mentally enthralled or spiritually torn apart, and that presence is comforting in the place of the dead. Knowing that I have a living guest here I can treat on occasion, and even if our circumstances may not be the most comfortable at times, communicate and simply talk with as an equal instead of food. When you spend all of your time among the dead, you begin to forget what it is like to simply exist with another being, especially one that is alive and, well, as I said, not considered food. I've come to treasure the simplest moments you and I spent together, my dear, which it might shock you to hear me admit it. For example, whenever I prepare you breakfast in the morning before I rest, or when I make sure you are properly prepared for your own rest later in the evenings before I start my duties. Do I hate you for you aiming to kill me? No, hatred is not what I feel, my dear. More pain than anything I would like to admit, but hatred, no. I am rather impressed, more than anything. I can't say that if I were not in your situation, lost in a strange and dangerous place for the goals of someone else, that I wouldn't have behaved the same way. Honestly, given what events have occurred here tonight, I'm glad you took our safety into your own hands. I do not wish to think how I would have reacted if I'd found you drained of all life after Lord Torinthar's savagery. The beast got a cleaner death than he deserved for breaching my laws and violating the hospitality of both my home and my guest. His bloodline may predate me, but mark my words, my dear. His court shall be punished for this. The death of their lord is about to become the least of their concerns. There's a clean row outside the glass door, my dear. I will be here in the hall once you are ready. My dear, I am so sorry for what I've gotten you into, but we simply have no choice. For both our sakes, this must be done, but I do hope you are prepared for the amount of blood that is going to be spilled before it is over. Ah, there you are. Clean as can be. Do you feel better? No, I suppose a hot shower can only help so much, but at least you are no longer wearing Lord Veclor's filth on your person. Here, come. You can use the master bedroom in my quarters directly in. I typically reserve it for personal guests, but as I have not had any of those in some time and typically prefer the familiarity of my own coffin, you can use it tonight while the servants attend to your room. I have already signaled for them to begin scraping what remains of Lord Veclor off my floor. Now that we are passing your quarters, and I'm aware of it, I find it strange I did not smell Lord Veclor's blood until after you were literally standing in the doorway in front of me. As potent of a vampire as he was, I should have been able to sense him long before he even reached the front step, let alone your room. Foul play? It's quite possible. He could have used some form of blood magic to mask his presence entirely to both of us. He would have needed to in order to avoid my wrath for sneaking around in my home with me still present. I will inspect the room and surrounding floors to see if any of my wards or servants have been tampered with. I can think of no other possible explanations for how a lord of such power could infiltrate my home without my knowledge. Here we are, my dear. The bed may be a bit musty from disuse, but I promise you will not find a sleeping arrangement more comfortable than mine. While you are resting there, I shall go and investigate the... You wish for me to stay in the bed with you, my dear? I have preparations and defenses that I need to have... Very well. I suppose, since it is my own ambitions and goals that have trapped you into this mess that I can give you one night of my company. I at least owe you that much after putting you into this situation. No, my dear, I have no intentions of feeding on you over the night. I feel I have lost my appetite. There we are, my dear. In all honesty, I do wish to apologize for all of this madness, but I also want to assure you that it will be worth it in the end. When you and I arise to the status of blood champions, this kind of blatant treachery will be so far beneath us that both humans and vampires alike will... You are right. This conversation is precisely exactly what you are trying to avoid, and not optimal for relaxing one bit. Here then. Here. I shall keep you safe in my arms while you rest, ensuring that if any other creatures of the night wish to harm you, they will need to go through your vampire lord first, and I promise you, my dear, I am no easy kill. For now, rest. The night itself embraces you, and soon it will answer your call and serve at your fingertips. Rest.